Hey, you're listening to Innovators Can Laugh, the fun startup podcast. I'm your host, Eric Milcher. On ICL, we interview an innovative entrepreneur in the European tech startup scene every week. My goal is to have my guests share their wisdom while having a little fun in the process. Now let's dive in. Hello, beautiful people. How are y'all doing? I'm Eric Milcher, and thank you so much for taking time to join me out of a very busy day as I get to talk to some of the most inspiring and innovative people in the startup scene here in Europe. Now, I'm going to introduce you to Dan, but before I do that, I don't want you to miss a single episode of the show. So whatever platform you're on right now, if you haven't already, just reach out and give that subscribe button a push. That way you're notified every time there's a new episode. Anyway, my friends, I'm really excited about this. I'd like to introduce you to Dan Mark. He's the founder of AI startups Footprints AI. Footprints AI is a cutting-edge retail media platform that allows brands to target media audiences based on their predicted physical shopping behavior in different stages of their purchasing journey. How about that, huh? This results in lower costs, faster time to market, and increased profits, giving their customers a competitive advantage in the retail media network. Dan, welcome to Innovators Can Laugh.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, pleasure having you here.
Sure. Very happy to join your podcast.
Yeah, no, it's always good having somebody from Bucharest here. That way we can talk about, the weather and other things that we love about being here or don't love, but that's another conversation. Okay. So first question for you. We were talking before the show got started that you went to university on your first day. There was something that caught your attention. Can you tell the audience about that? What happened?
So, I'm just mentioning that I'm from quite a small, very small town in Romania. And first day in faculty, and then there is this, very beautiful woman. The most beautiful woman I've seen at the moment, and I couldn't, and I'm still remembering the moment. I couldn't say it. And it was something like, out of my world, obviously. And now she's my wife and the mother of my 2.5-year-old daughter. And,
all right.
The story is that, a lot of people, including myself, have about Romania.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how did you approach her? I'm curious. Like, what did you let a few days go by? Like, what was the first thing you said to her? Can you give any advice for people that are going to be in this situation one day?
Well, I have one pattern, which is not really an advice. So the advice is not to go that route. That I did. So we got closer as, friends, right? And I went into an area of a friend zone where every time I was approaching her, and she was, by the way, inviting me at her home sometimes to, do homeworks together. And every time, so just before going and meeting her or going to her place, I was very sure that moment that, I'm going to go for it, right? I'm going to tell her what I feel and what I want, and, et cetera, et cetera. And then...
Because when your heart starts beating really fast, you're getting all nervous. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but, your mind creates a success scenario, right? And then first microsecond after seeing her answering the door, let's say, I blank out, and then I come back to life, 1 hour or 1 hour and a half later, and I found myself outside the door, right, outside her home, and realizing that, I said nothing, right? I was just the most stupid person.
You're so upset with yourself. You're so upset with yourself because you had this intention and you didn't act on it. Yes, yes. We all know the feeling, I think.
A few years later, actually, we were sharing, we stayed in
A few years later.
It's not a, instant gratification success story. It's a long term.
Okay. This is a long-term approach, a long-term game here.
Yeah, the longest term approach. So a few years later, we kept in touch, and we were sharing, thoughts and content and music. And she sends me this song, right? A romantic kind of song. And she says, sometimes I'm thinking about you when I'm listening to this song. And I said, okay, yes, really? And she said, you are never into me, I know that you don't really fancy me. And I said, no, I was, on the contrary, I was just watching to you. Actually, And that was on chat, right? It was easier on chat, right? messaging and chatting is something that's
Yeah.
facilitates those conversations these days, and expressing your feelings. And then
Yeah. It's so much easier to pour your heart out, on chat versus in person. Yeah.
And I had one friction, just to summarize it. So I was 2,900 kilometers away from her. So I get my best friend. We jumped, the next day after she said that to me, into a van, 15 years old van. And we traveled 2,000, almost 3,000 kilometers, to her, showering in gas stations on our way to Denmark.
So she was in Denmark and you were here in Romania?
I was in Romania, yeah. So,
Okay.
there. And basically I got her stuff in the van, and I got back to Bucharest, and she got a flight back to Bucharest, and here we are, right? And by the way, it was the first time I was actually driving a van, a very old van, a very shaky, right? Bringing back home the love of,
Yeah. You're like one of those generals. I've always read these, what I read about generals is that they're meticulous in planning. Before the actual war, they take their time. But once the war starts, they act very quickly. And you didn't hesitate at all. You got off that chat room, and the next day you told your friend, we're going to Denmark, give me your van. And then you acted very abruptly. Well done.
I did a plan on my way, right? I had the planning and everything else, and it worked.
All right. Okay. Good for you. I hope to meet you guys, you and your wife, one day, and hear her side of the story.
Yes.
Because there's always two sides, Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to Footprints AI. Now, on your website, it says there, you will know what your customers' current and future needs and expectations are. You can go from anonymous traffic to an individualized shopping experience by knowing a person's shopping habits, their propensity to buy, to visit, their channel, relevance score, and more. So tell us more about Footprints and how does it able to do all this?
So I need to go back from, the first step that we did. So that was in 2014 when I was part of a very large media corporation, right? Havas Worldwide. And I was the head of strategy for UK and Ireland. And, I was doing everything, around digital and, digital strategies and so on. In 2014, I met a few people looking to basically enable physical retail buildings with different sensors. And then that was the aha moment for me. I realized that there's no tracking, profiling, retargeting, remarketing kind of capabilities in the real world, right? As we did in the digital world, right? In the digital ecosystems for e-commerce, for example. So that was the aha moment. And since then, we started building very advanced technology in being able to anonymously track people in indoors using, basically their mobile devices, but no identifiers behind, to know exactly how they move and what's their purchasing intention. So, for example, you go into a shopping mall and you start from, parking space, and then you travel around the shopping mall, and you might go into some shops, might spend some time there, might do some purchases or not. And this is what we're interested in. And of course, this went into the next stage of evolution because, Eric, just imagine that today is Wednesday, right? If we can see a person on Wednesday lunchtime that is being in a shopping mall and goes to a playground and then to food court and then to cinema, more or less we know exactly who you are, right? We don't really need to to ask you who you are and what you want. Basically, the place that you are at, the time you are spending, and your behavior tells us a lot more than about you and your needs and your wants and your desires than what you can actually tell to any kind of digital system, right? So this was the second stage of evolution, trying to predict and to guess who people are, what they do, what they want, and what they need based on where they spend time and what kind of shopping behavior they have, and what's the, let's say, weather outside and holidays and events and the specific shopping mall and specific day and the time of the day, these kind of things. And then I'm a media guy, right? Myself. So my, long-term desire is to make sure that we go beyond analytics, right? We can actually, select a group of individuals and be able to target them. Right. And that was the third stage of evolution, where we basically, we are one of the most cutting edge AI technologies that are capable to, so we are capable to find your digital twin based on your physical behavior. Right. So, we look in offline, what you are doing, the group, the behavioral group that you are part of, how you behave, what kind of, products and brands and, what kind of shopping behavior you have. And then we do the same in the online, and then we are trying to match the two together, right?
Now, you mentioned earlier that this is through your phone. Is this done through like geo tracking on a person's phone? Like how is this
multiple technologies, because most of the technologies nowadays are using mobile apps, right, to do that. But that's very limited, right? That's, let's say, 10% of all the people going into a retail property, right? A retail store, retailers kind of space. You don't want to walk through your retailer with your phone, right? Trying to navigate, between the aisles, right? That makes no sense. Yeah. So we basically use the Wi-Fi, which is already in place in most of the retail spaces.
Okay.
And we can track the people based on just the fact that they have the Wi-Fi on. We don't need identifiers, right? We just need to make sure that we have a complete path, right, of people based on their Wi-Fi signals, right? The radio signal, right? Your Wi-Fi device, mobile device has a Wi-Fi on. So that's a radio signal. So we capture that signal and we do triangulation of that every 5 seconds. So we create a path. Or we can use cameras, right? But again, anonymously, right? We don't need face. We don't need, body kind of characteristics. We just need to make sure there is a moving object, right? Okay. So that's the, let's say, the bigger resource behind that we have.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's not a lot of infrastructure for a retail store to actually start using the platform. Is that true?
There's no, basically, if you perceive it this way, there's no big infrastructure investment to do it. We are not that kind of company that comes to you and says, okay, you need to install this and that in order to be able to leverage the customer relationship and the data you have, right? We are that kind of company where we start with whatever you have in place.
Okay.
And we let the data models and the AI to do the magic. And then we build from that, right? What it means. It means that, for example, because of the retail media profit potential, a retailer can grab those profits and reinvest in upgrading their IT infrastructure, right? Upgrading their in-store kind of capabilities to provide a great customer experience. Because nowadays, as you already know and you are aware of that, dealers have a very low profit margin, right? And everybody's promising next hour, same day kind of delivery of any kind of products. So that's obviously compressing the profit margins they have, right? And this is why innovation in the retail space is quite hard, because there's not a lot of money to be reinvested into digital technology. So what we do, we provide a way for them to leverage and to create profits from the existing infrastructure, and then those profits, they go back to upgrade the technology in place for the in-store experience, right? If it makes sense.
Yeah, Dan, what are some of the benefits your clients are seeing from using, your technology, from using Footprints?
Well, you can compare we have the same benefits like you'll have in online, but this time with Footprints, you have them for the physical retail. So for example, you have lower cost per visit, right? Lower customer acquisition cost, higher uplift in sales, right? Because you know exactly what kind of products you need to offer to a specific group of people. You have predictive kind of traffic. So you have predictability, right? On that. You have accountability. So you can actually attribute the amount of money you put in digital advertising to the in-store, right? Results, which was never being possible, right? Of course, outside vouchers and, mobile apps. Again, this is just a very small fraction of the very big numbers that the retailers are writing, right? So, like in e-commerce, right? Where you know exactly where each individual dollar, right, is being invested and what that gives you back. This is exactly what you can do with footprints, but for the physical retail, right? Again,
Okay.
physical retail. Why? Because 90, in Romania, it's 93.5%, but, globally, still 85% of all the retail sales are being done in the physical retail, right?
Okay. Now, so how long does it take for the analysis and for this AI, for the tracking to work and to get a good picture of what this person is or the group that they belong to?
There are 3 stages on that. So first month we have, quite blurry, but, a lot better than before. So 1 month it's enough. Then 3 months is threshold where we have enough confidence in the profiling and the data models. So for example, we have beyond 70% accuracy,
Mhm.
attribution on that. And then after 1 year, we have a very high confidence, right, in the models for each individual store, by the way, right? Because, different geographies, different communities of people, around the retail networks kind of point of presence. Why is that? Because in comparison to all the other kind of business models, the retail model is based on a month by month and seasonality and a year by year kind of patterns, right? So we need to capture a full pattern, a full year to understand the whole seasonality of the business models and how people interact with those retail stores.
Okay. Once you profiled a segment or a user or a person, how would the retail store start taking advantage of this information and this data? Are they advertising to them in specific channels? Like, what does that look like once they have this information?
For footprints, it is multi-channel, basically. So, for example, the marketing department can actually start using the specific profiles, right? The audiences that we can actually generate, and then they can target them either on their own media, so their own website, mobile app, digital screens in store, for example, or we allow them to synchronize this data with their Facebook ads or Instagram ads or TikTok ads or Waze
Gotcha.
ads or
Gotcha.
Google ads, right? Or nowadays we're integrating with Netflix, right? To be able to target your customers if you are a retailer while watching a Netflix on their, ads enabled kind of version.
Okay. Now, a lot of our audience are startup founders themselves or aspiring, entrepreneurs. And one thing I noticed is that you have co-sale partnerships with companies like Orange and Microsoft. How were you able to get those partnerships with those massive companies?
A very long engagement, I would say. So it's
Did you have to get in a van and go drive 3,000 kilometers to go meet with Sam Watson and in the US?
That's my story with partnerships as well. So that's exactly it. So with Microsoft, for example, there is a gray guy there. His name is Shish, and he's the head of retail startups and the technology innovation there. So I found out he's going to be in London for a specific event. I went there in London. I met him. I said, I need 5 minutes. He said, yes. Of course, we spent like 2 hours together that day. But he asked me, after, 15 minutes, what's the plan? Are you going to, meet other people? No, I'm going, I'm here just for you. Really? Yeah. I flew in just for you, just to meet you. I don't care about, other, events or, meetings or anything else. So he liked that, right? This is what I'm doing. If I have a chance with Walmart, I go there. I spend enough time until they get me in to have 5 or, 2 hours or a full day with them to make sure that, I'm pitching the narrative.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you didn't just approach the guy and say, I need 5 minutes with you. And he said, okay, sure, no problem at all. Like, how did you approach him? I'm a bit curious about this.
Well, I'm investing largely in my LinkedIn profile, and that's the first thing. So I do believe I have a strong profile, and I have a lot of things to add on the retail market, right? I have my own perspectives that I publish them there. I engage in conversations around retail, and just imagine, although retail, it's, one of the biggest industries on the planet, number of people that are knowledgeable about the cutting edge technology, it's a very small group, right? Globally. And of course, outside China, right? And, I'm jumping into the conversations and I'm adding a lot of content, and I do this every day, So start of the day, end of the day, middle of the day, that's, I'm focusing on that. I have a radar on all the conversations. I'm, using Google Trends and everything else, alerts, right? To be alerted every time there's something happening. And the second thing that I'm doing, I give back, a lot. So for example, if you'd be in Microsoft Romania and you need something, and we have no engagement at the moment, and there's nothing for me yet, I always help you to get that, account or contact or anything else, right? Perspective, I'm supporting a lot of initiatives outside my area of interest from a business perspective. That's the second thing. And the third thing, basically, and that's based on my personal relationships as well. When I'm going into bed with someone, I'm going into bed with only that person, right? So when I'm with Microsoft, I'm not with Google, I'm not with Amazon, and nobody else, right? I'm focusing only on that relationship, and I'm employing people to actually nurture that relationship, although the return on investment is not there yet, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I love that narrow focus on, one specific brand, one specific person that you're really trying to engage with, and not taking a shotgun approach and trying many different avenues here. Yeah. Speaking of Microsoft, I know they put a lot of money into ChatGPT-3, which seems to be the trend right now. What do you make of ChatGPT-3, Dan?
Yeah, I believe that there will be a lot of opinions. Of course, my take on that. And by the way, I'm a journalist. That's my kind of college degree, and a semiotician, semiotics. So my perspective is that first, when you do semiotics and communication studies, you learn about something which is called intertextuality. That nobody invents anything. They're just reshuffling, remixing all the knowledge that has been ever generated, right? And this is called paradigm. So ChatGPT is not really reinventing any paradigm. It's all about us to push that paradigm to new kind of on the edge, kind of, from a knowledge perspective, but boundaries. But going back, we are just codifying like never before a huge amount of knowledge, right? And we are automate the process that was perceived as creative, but now we are very surprised and also delighted at the same time that actually is not really, really, really creative, right? So we are now very surprised to the fact that, it sounds like, a human being, right? Answering and having that much knowledge, but actually it tells a lot more about how we ended up creating these kind of professions, right? How we ended up actually having people in the creative industry, although they had no creativity to be generated, right? To be put on the table. And this says a lot of good things, but also a lot of bad things about the economy and the type of professions that we have at the moment. So, building on that, my perspective is that we need to reinvent the way we work and the roles we have, right? In companies, we need to make sure that we are focusing more on the human capabilities and we leverage each individual capabilities instead of actually creating predefined kind of job roles and profiles, right? And thirdly, I do believe that, this will give a lot of other people that they don't, I'm from a small town, I want to reiterate that. And I have a lot of former friends, and colleagues, and they're very creative. They're very innovative, but they had no chance, right? Professionally to, be in my place or in your place, right? They're still there, but a lot more intellectually driven, a lot more creative. So ChatGPT and all the other AI technologies that are due to come will leverage and will give better opportunities to a lot of people that economically at the moment, we are not supporting that, right? Again, I have a lot of colleagues, former colleagues that were smarter than I am. They're reading a lot more. They're more creative. They're more artistic in expressing themselves, innovative. From that sense, but they're still in a very lame kind of role because of the economical kind of context. Yeah. So my faith is that AI will go fast. We help us going faster to a meritocratic kind of structure society. Okay. That's the logical part of the answer. If you Otherwise, no. We're already integrating ChatGPT and DALL-E to help our customers to generate visuals for their campaigns and text for their campaigns automatically. So that's the
I know. I plan on I use a tool. It's not GPT-3, but it's something else, and it gives me suggested headlines for different posts and things like that, which is fantastic. Okay, now we're going to do some rapid fire questions here, Dan. Again, just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. First question for you is: would you rather have $25,000 cash or dinner with Kevin Scott, the CTO of Microsoft?
Of course, yeah.
Dinner?
Yeah, of course. It's a multi-million dollar opportunity. Yeah. We can go to a bank and get a $25,000 cash, right? It comes with the cost.
Yeah. Okay.
But the dinner,
Yeah. Good answer. Okay. What's the most interesting thing you've done in the past 26 days?
I've been having a dinner with Shish, the guy that I was in Bentonville, which is a very small city, eating oysters, coming from 1,500 kilometers away, and having a nightmarish indigestion after that.
Hey, don't eat oysters in Alabama, man.
Yes, it did. They didn't tell us of them.
Yeah. You don't want to get the oysters there. Maybe on the East Coast, up there near Connecticut or Rhode Island, but not in Alabama. Okay. What is the most death-defying act you have ever done?
Well, I didn't so far because my expectations are quite high. But I'm planning to do not a base jump, a wingsuit kind of flight.
Oh shit!
Hopefully, I'll make that happen. But that's the plan. I love watching YouTube videos with
Yeah.
Now,
this weekend I was showing my son a video, and this guy, and I forgot where he was, but he does it with his dog, and his dog has no sense of fear, and his dog completely trusts his owner, and he jumps with his owner off the base jumps and then doing the wing thing. It was just
great.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I asked my son, would you ever want to do that? He said no. And I was like, good, because I'm not going to let you do that. Okay. What is a must-have for successful entrepreneurs?
It's the marathon is on the sprint. So if you don't have a great passion of what you do, you won't be able to influence anybody to join up. You won't be able to wake up every morning and kick your ass and move on. You won't be able to go beyond the roller coaster because there are days and days, bad days and good days, and you don't need to be overexcited, but over depressed. So, it's the passion that basically is moving whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion and you just look at making money, that's not really that's not really a recipe for success.
No, I agree 100%, especially with the ups and downs. Because you can get excited about anything, and that excitement will carry you maybe the first 3-6 months, but there's always going to be a lot of walls that you hit, and you need to definitely be passionate about what you're doing. All right, Dan, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people learn more about you and Footprint?
At the moment, mostly on LinkedIn. So we have a LinkedIn page, which is very rich in content, and we are updating it regularly. But soon, next week, we'll have a website, footprintsforretail.com, and my profile, Del Mark on LinkedIn, always available for a great chat around retail and retail media.
All right. I'll include links to Dan's LinkedIn profile and the website in the show notes. All right. Think about how inspired you feel right now from Dan's story. Imagine you hadn't missed out on that. So if you haven't already, give that subscribe button a push. That way you're notified and you won't miss out on any stories that you're hearing, like the one that you're hearing right now. Now, before you get on with the rest of your day, I want you to hear something. You are awesome. Yes, you. Now, you may be saying, come on, Eric, you just had Dan, who is a rock star on the show and has built this innovative AI retail media platform. And while that may be true, if you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, a startup founder, whatever you want to call yourself, you are one of a very small percentage of human beings that have the courage and the vision to create something new. You're taking an idea and making it a reality, and that is pretty amazing, which makes you awesome. All right, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give us a review and star rating. Also, don't forget to sign up for the ICL newsletter at innovatorscanlaugh.com, where you can get the bio and details of each guest. Thanks.